Well, welcome, and it's wonderful to see so many of our returning people and maybe some new folks. Welcome to we're on number 8 of Around the World in 80 Rocks, Fossils and Formations. And so we'll have 2 more after this. And if you're new, our goal is quick sketching. We're not copying directly, we're capturing the essence of these fossils, formations, gemstones, and learning. And that's what it's all about, is we are drawing to learn about these things. So relax, don't worry about perfection. We're going to practice. It's great practice. I know it's really helped me. There's a couple of them on today's that are going to be quite challenging, and I didn't practice, so yay! We're going to be jumping in together. These gemstones can be real challenging. So, around the world in 80 rocks, fossils, and formations. And this is Asia Part 2. Such a huge continent. I'm Roseanne Hanson. Thank you so much for joining me if you're new. Uh, been doing this for a long time, though only drawing for about 10 years. In fact, this might be about the 10th anniversary of when I started teaching myself. And yeah, it's not super easy. So let's jump in and get some practice done. But first, what we always do is give us a little reminder because we're learning here. So what is a rock? I hope you can all recite this if you've been coming for all 8. So rocks are minerals made up of minerals. And then our minerals are made of the elements such as iron, magnesium, calcium, silicon. We're going to see a really cool one today, by the way. Minerals become rocks through the formation processes. We learned this in probably late grade school. Um, Minerals are like cooking ingredients, and rocks are the finished dish. Votia Heibel said that. Really, really a great way to think of it. And so our cooking are igneous, the processes are igneous, metamorphic, sedimentary. I think we're going to see all those today. Uh-oh, it's time for our geology joke. Someone said, I hate geology puns. And I said, my sediments exactly. Okay, done with the bad jokes. We are going to start in Myanmar, very famous for its gemstones, especially. And we might be coming back here later because I just couldn't resist. This is jadeite, and green is its most famous color, but there's also a really cool purple. We're going to focus on the green. It's the most common and you'll see it most frequently. The jadeite from Myanmar is the most valuable, and it's in the pyroxene group of silicate minerals, which account for 90% of the Earth's surface matter. Jadeite is metamorphic, and there's its formula. Um, it's a very hard mineral, a precious stone, and very cool. They found Stone Age tools with this made from jadeite. How amazing would that be? So what I like to do is we're going to start here. Um, I'm nearing the end of journal pages, so I'm having to clip this shut. I'm probably going to do a sketch of the raw here and put a gemstone up here and hope I have time to get to both. And so I'm going to go straight to pen on some of this. So this is number 1. I I will probably jump to pencil to do the rough. And let's give it a name so I don't forget here. So find a place on your page where it works for you. Being careful not to put my hand on that. Um, just going to do what's kind of a freeform, almost blind contour. I'm looking at the image, and I'm just letting my pen scribe the rock, and I'm varying the see how I'm not, it's not a solid line. I'm doing broken line, which is a better way to do subjects like this. And I think that that works. Um, we will add shadow with probably neutral tint, but I'm going to remind myself to put shadow in with some dots. Probably won't go as extensive on the shadows. I also want to make sure I remind myself to put in these dark stripies, but I'm not going to do it with pencil. I've been finding in the past that pencil gets my watercolor in these lighter colors like greens and yellows really muddy. So I'm going to not do it with pencil or pen. And if you're having trouble with that, um, you might consider that you've got a muddy problem from your graphite. Now I'm just going to very lightly pencil in a gemstone shape. If I do it too hard, I hope you can see that it, like I said, that graphite can get into your watercolor. Let me scoot over here a little bit. I need to move this computer a little bit. Okay. I've got my watercolor here, but I need to wake it up with a spritzer. And remember to do that if you're using watercolors. I'm going to pre-mix the green. Sometimes I'll put the yellow down and then wash the blue, but I want to try to leave some of the white highlights, especially over here. So I'm going to pre-mix. If you have a pre-mixed green, a bright, lovely green, go for it. That's perfect. And I'm going to start with a fairly, not a super dark green. And I'm going to do this guy first. Oh, you know what? I think I will do the gemstone first so it'll have time to dry. And let's see if I can remember to leave some of the bright spots. Otherwise, I can come back with gouache or trying to leave the shiny. That worked. And oh wow, that got a little crazy on the edge there. I'm gonna have to clean up that edge. Now I can go in and give this a light green wash. I think this is almost exactly Hooker's green. I think if you've got that in your palette, I'm not sure what the proportions of blue and yellow in Hooker's is. So I'm going to mix a slightly darker to give this more variation while it's still wet. So it looks more like a rock. You don't want a solid color here. You don't want it to be a perfect plain. We want it to look mineral. Okay. Even to the point of, just using dots and let that dry. You see it get a little, don't want too many of these hard edges. There we go. Now I'm going to let that dry for a minute. Now we can come back over here and give this a little shadow. My favorite hat trick now is the neutral tint from Daniel Smith, which is such a useful tool. I'm getting this wet again, so I'm trying to minimize those hard edges. And I'm going to drop that neutral tint along the edge here. Just, you got that a little bit too dark. I think it'll dry well though. There we go. You see how that instantly brings that shadow in, but without changing the color. And that's what neutral tint is so amazing for. And then if you use it, get a fairly dry brush, get a good touch of it, of your neutral tint, you can, we can do this shadow over here. It's almost black neutral tint when it's not fully wet, and like this here is a little wetter, so I'm going to draw that edge a little bit now. There we go. Great for shadows. I used to kind of make my own with the burnt sienna and indanthrum blue, but it doesn't, it changes the color of your watercolor. All right, how's that looking? Well, while those are drying, there's, just give this a little bit of shadow, not real strong on this one. While that's drying, let's remember to put our details of what this is. So jadeite is going to put the formula, aluminum silicate, highly oxygenated, oxygenated. That's a hard one. I need more caffeine for that. It is metamorphic. And I'll put some over here. This is it's in the pyroxene group. And so if you know pyroxene purple, the purple jade is colored by the pyroxene. It's a pyroxene group. And what else do we want to put here? It's a Mohs 6.5 to 7. And oh, the pyroxene group, let's put here, accounts for 90% of Earth's surface. You could say that's a little facile, but, and we want to put Stone Age tools. How cool would that be to find? Now, using my neutral tint, I can get this a little damp up here. And then let's get some neutral tint going. Not too black. And let's just get some of this striation. And I'm using the brush like a dabbing it to get some of the, so it doesn't look too artificial. Wow, it's so dry here in Arizona that it's already dried from that um, wash I just did. That makes it really challenging. Crazy, isn't it? Gonna take advantage of that, the brush being spread out a little bit. All right, I'm going to leave that so I don't overwork it, which is my specialty. Knowing when to stop, and that's why we want to do these in 15 minutes or less. So you learn how to capture quickly. Great. Well, and it's time to move on. One thing we'll want to do, you can see how that's looking. Uh, I'll come back. Probably the final thing that I'll do is to darken this a bit. I'll do a much darker green and improve the variability on both of these while retaining the shadow and the highlights. So that will be fun. But we're going to move on. And we are now on our way. Oh, we're heading over. We're going to bop around a lot to South Korea. And this really cool stone. It's beautiful, but it also has a fabulous uh, Genesis story. These are flower stones from, uh, well, very famous in Korea, also found in China. It's Hwamunseok. I hope I said that right in Korean. They're very old, 48 to 50 million years old. What happens is molten lava fills fissures in the older sedimentary rock, which is what you can see around it, the brown. And you can see the striations or the sedimentary layers. And then when the magma cools, it becomes rhyolite. And then these spherulites are called, the spheres are formed. So rhyolite is felsic, has a lot of, oops, there's a typo, quartz and feldspar. So quartz is spelled Quartz. And in this culture, these are highly prized because they're believed to show chrysanthemums, which are symbols for autumn and an easier life and retirement. I'm sure we could all use that right now. Uh, and this particular stone, I couldn't find any dimensions of it, is the Sunflower Emperor. And it's a very famous stone in a museum in Korea. And we're going to draw that. And that's going to be a bit of a challenge, isn't it? So, what we need to make sure we do is, let me make this there. I hope we can all see that. What we want to make sure we do is don't get lost in the crazy details of this beautiful rock. And what I'm doing is looking at it right now, and I'm roughly counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 10 to 11 of the circles that look like, hash marks in kind of a graphite color. So what I'll do, let me estimate here so I don't blow off my page. I maybe want to make it about this big, and do it however it works for you on your page. I have fairly like 9 by 6 pages, so I can't go too huge unless I did one subject per page, which you can do if you want. And that way I'll make sure I have room for the stone around it. And then I'm just going to start, here's the inner circle. And I'm not going to make them super detailed yet. There's another one. There's another one. Now, graphite's going to be nice for this. Now I'm going to start with hash marks. Moving as quickly as I can while trying to stay fairly concentric. Remember, we're capturing. This is not a scientific illustration. That's a whole other uh, genre and discipline. It's not nature journaling, though you might go out and do these types of sketches if you're a scientific illustrator. To get the language of these subjects into your hand-eye brain coordination, the more you sketch something, especially in the field, the more you know it, the more you are able to then go back and do a great representation. Oops. So I'm increasing the distance just a little bit. Keep going with my hashes. Try not and do too many. There's a little bit of M looking, work. Try not to do too much of that. They're quite a bit hashier than that. Beautiful beautiful stone, just gorgeous. And I think I'll do one more. The raw ones are quite interesting. This was cut and polished. In this instance, the graphite will work in our favor as part of the drawing element rather than interfering with our watercolor. And now we can draw our encasing sedimentary stone here. This is why pencil can be nice for this type, because when you get your proportions wrong, you can alter that. Oopsie, I went a little low. I mean, too far down. It's somewhat squat, isn't it? And it looks like it's set into a curve. But again, don't fuss too much on the details. We're capturing this. You're on a tour, you're seeing this in a museum, you're doing a quick sketch to copy it, or depict it, capture it, not copy it. And then we want to get some of the swirls, but of the sedimentary layers, but don't get too far into the weeds on that. Just do some representations of the major things that you're seeing. There's kind of a nice little swoosh going on in here. We want to show a little bit of the sedimentary without detracting from the chrysanthemum detail. And we're going to try coloring this so that it doesn't disappear too much. I'm trying to capture as much as I can with parallel lines together so it shows the layers without having it take over. I'm going to call that good for now. I don't, like I said, want this to take over too much. Great. And let's label this as number 2. The flowers. This is, we'll call this, it's called flower stones. And this particular one is the Sunflower Emperor. And it is igneous. We always want to try to get in. That doesn't look right. I forgot the O. Turn that into O. Igneous. Oof. Okay. And they're 48 to 50 million years old. Million years ago, they were formed. And it's magma, which is molten, in fills fissures and becomes rhyolite. And they're called spherulites. Spherulites. Sphere as in round. Nice. And it's rhyolite is felsic. It's a quartz and feldspar, felsic. And you can correct my typo. Apparently not spelling well today. So what we'll do with our stone here, I want to reserve as much of that the white, and we're going to work a lot with uh, burnt sienna, which I find to be a very useful tool in my paint box. Just cleaning it off here. So with burnt sienna, oops. And if I throw in, I just cleaned that off and get some nice pure yellow. I can knock back some of that burnt sienna to that more orangey, light, yellowy color. Now I've got that mixed. And I'm going to clean my brush and wet this, being careful not to smear the graphite too much. And then drop in some of this burnt sienna. Not a lot though. In fact, I might grab a clean part of the tissue and make that a little bit less hard edged. Now, the whole thing I'm going to give a wash. Let me bring in more yellow, a little bit more burnt sienna, more yellow, I think. And its background then will have that color, and then we can add darks and swirls. Boy, everything's drying so fast. It's such a challenge not to get hard edges. When I was first learning watercolor, I didn't know about that. And it was so frustrating not to be able to reproduce what I was seeing on online tutorials and stuff. It's like, why isn't it working? Um, and it's because look at that, it dried so fast. I got a little shape wonky there because of, I was actually, yeah, this is proud here. So I was drawing, not looking directly down. but that's okay. You know, you have to be kind to yourself and not worry about silly things like that. So I've got some more burnt sienna color. I'm going to darken some of it by adding some indanthrone so that we get some variation in color. I'm probably going to add just a little bit of magenta and uh, the burnt sienna just to create a warmer brown. See there how you get this mix. Now the trick is I want to go in with a fairly wet brush. First, let's see if I can just work in one area because this is drawing so fast, and drop in some variations. This is going to be challenging. See, that got a little hard edged. I'm guessing what I'm going to want to do is I'll come back with my pencil and recreate more of the sedimentary layers, just remembering to leave some lights and things. See what we've got down here. Trying to do away with those dark, hard edges, but without losing the light. Challenging. This is one I'm probably going to need to work for come back and work. Oops. With a graphite. And then things like coming in carefully, helping to define the petals, we'll call them. Yeah, see, I think that helps a lot using the tip of your brush like that. And I like the fact that it's still slightly damp, so it's makes it look more like the stone. I'm going to stop now because I'm going to come back and work this more with a graphite and some of the neutral tint. Um, this is kind of like the underlying layers. So we'll consider that the underpainting, and then we can come back. This is typical of what you would do in the field. You do a quick capture or in the museum, and then you continue your day. And then in the evening, maybe back at your camp or hotel, you would do some detail finishing. I can already see I'm going to want to do like a little bit more of a wash. In fact, I can, while I have the color in my palette here, to kind of get rid of some of these harder edges. There. Can't really see it on the screen, but it did improve it a little bit. But it's time for us to move on. We've been spending little bit more than 15 on this guy. And we need to move on to site number 3, which is down in northern Vietnam. And really cool area. And what's really cool is the formation processes. This is the same place with 2 different camera angles. The one on the right is kind of a wide angle. I like the longer lens view on the left. This was quite an inspiration for some of the scenes in like Lord of the Rings, and when they went to see the elves. So really, really cool place, but geologically also really interesting. It's called Fenglin Karst, the landscape. And initially, the karst landscapes, there's lots of different ones you can see here, are layers that then got uplifted. So these are actually, my mouse is, I can't see my mouse, but they're at an angle. The layers get uplifted, and then erosion over time in the Fenglin karst or tower karst, the conical hills are formed by undercutting. And then that river is what did the undercutting. And the great term for the plain that you see there, very rich rice fields, allogenic clastic sediments maintain the alluvial plain, and those came down from elsewhere. So limestone karst, there's the formula. This is I can't see my mouse. Oh, I'm trying to move the bar that's covering up what I'm seeing. This is the Phong Nam Valley in Vietnam, in the Cao Bang province. It is a UNESCO Global Geopark, a really large one, and it has amazing geology. It was really hard to pick one, but I love these tower karsts and the alluvial plain. So it'll be fun to do both a representation of the karst formations with, and then also dive into, if you have room, you could sketch the underlying sedimentary layers if you have space. I'm not sure I will, but let's move this over here. This time I'll try to get closer and do a better job of perspective. So I'm going to do a bounding box because of my smaller page, and at least on the left here to give me a place to start. And what I'm going to do is focus on, I'm going to pull in the towers on the left here. And again, it's kind of a blind contour thing. I'm right now just doing the main shape, little hump. This one actually comes all the way down, and this will give us where the base is going to stop there. And then they have a very distinct base, right? And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make mine, that's going to be kind of the edge of my hills. And then back up here, I'm going to come down. There is a tower here that I want to get in. Again, the bases are very distinct. There is a tower behind that, which I'm going to do a little bit lighter. And another one there. So these are less distinct. And then we've got some coming in here. I'm just going to kind of, it pulls down and creates another step. You can see the bottom, but I don't want to get like way into the weeds here on the detail. It'd be so easy to do that, is to spend way too much time on that. I'm going to remember to pull my river in here. Don't worry about it being perfect. I think I'm worrying about perfection too much here. And because I don't have a ton of space, what I'm going to do is let my river create the bottom of the sketch here. Come up here. Don't be too precious. We're capturing. That's great. Um, we've got, now you come back up here. That bit is actually, I'm going to delete it because it's a mountain farther away. And we've got this formation actually comes down all the way. There's a little cliff face bare spot there. This one comes down. We will use watercolor to develop the look of foliage. So I'm not going to get super detailed on that. And you've got, it's a good idea right now to go in and add a few of our trees for scale. Those are just kind of reminders. And if you have the ability, look at this is cool. If you left enough space, you've got a little reflection of a tower there. You could put one in here just as a reminder. Make your trees here just a little bit bigger. But again, we don't want to get into the weeds too much on there. And then I'm going to do a lot fainter over here. I'm not going to be doing as much detail. Little blind contour. Because I'm going to write in here. This is, you can do that. You don't have to do the entire landscape. You can do the sunset if you want. I am going to correct this here. Actually, there's some trees and things here. Make them really small though, remember. And then you've got vegetation. This looks like it's all probably grazed and set into fields, so it's like a lawn. But I'm going to call that good for now. Capturing, not a perfect copy. Oh, I did forget. I want to add, just to remind myself, I'm going to try to leave a little of the geology showing in there if I can. But I'm not going to go super, super detailed. So this is, and if you use a bounding box, they're really fun. You can go ahead and pen that in now. If you have waterproof ink, that'll dry. I'm going to let my box just kind of go off like that. Am I going to do those? I'll do those in watercolor. And then I'm going to go ahead and call this number 3. And this is the Phong Nam Valley. So I'm just going to call this Phong. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and these are limes. These are, we want to call these Fenglin karst or Fenglin or tower. Karst. And it is in Vietnam, northern Vietnam. And we want to put, if we have room to put the formula, that's great. Otherwise, just put limestone karst. And the alluvial plain, which is over here. So we'll equals allogenic clastic sediments. I love that. Allogenic meaning from comes from a farther away. And clastic is the type. Okay, let's see if we can get some watercolor in here without getting our the pen, which may or may not be dry. And you can have fun with the sunset if you have time later. For our 15 minutes, we're going to just focus on getting the basics down. I'm going to clean that off. I'm going to start with the lighter color. See if I can't capture that really cool blue-green color of the water. That's a challenge. It's a lot of cyan blue with just a teeny bit of yellow. Okay, good. Keeping that color away from my graphite as much as possible so it doesn't get all dirty. And then I'm going to create a dark green. Oops, I misspoke. Let's leave a lighter green first. Because the hills, remember the hills are different colors. And I'm going to do just a messy wash of light, remembering to reserve the formation that shows through the rock. Because I'm going to come over and hit this with the darks in different shades to try to show how they go into the background. And the fields are about that same light color. Oops, haha, I did it. You see the bleed? I was looking at the guilty of looking at the horizon with and not paying attention to where the brush was. So I'll be a little more cautious here. These I'm, oh yeah, see, look at that. Some, there was a drop of ink there. Interesting. Ooh. Now dark green, and I'll show you kind of how I will start this out using the indanthrone, like throw in just a little bit. And then what we want to do is get it damp. Now, more, oops, this, sorry about that. We want to show, so this formation comes down like this. I'm getting it damp with slightly, yeah, the water is slightly darker. So I'm going to work on this conical part. I'm going to get dark, dark, and I'm going to try to create, this is just covered in trees, right? So trying to keep it nubbly. Trees get smaller at the top. Like so. So that's how we will work on these. Now, I'm going to add more blue. So there's a slightly different color going back, not as dark. Get it a little bit fainter and not as detailed. Like so. And if you want to brighten that, this one a little, get some yellow or dirty yellow. To harmonize it a little bit with the, there. And if we have time, we'll add a tiny bit of very watered down burnt sienna, like so. To those places where you want to reserve that. And then so on and so forth. We'll go back. As we go back, I'm going to do even flatter blue. Now, that may not be what it looks like in the photo, but we're doing this in our journal so we can, you can edit however you need to show more depth. In that farthest one away is going to be the least detailed. And then these two are closer, so we'll go back. Create a little bit kind of halfway in between color. You see how I'm just like mixing it up? I think this one I'll want to alter just a tiny bit after it dries. but remember to keep it variable. And then finally, so I can get this, see, I can show you using a very pointy part of my brush is get these trees in, and that the shrubs are going to really help define. Just do it really fast, but very pretty dark. You don't want a lot of detail. All right, I'm going to stop for now so I don't overwork it. As I said, my specialty. What am I going to do over here? I'm not sure. If I make them really dark, it will kind of draw attention over there. Maybe I'll come in later and do a sunset wash. Um, if you want, you can add a few suggestions of rice fields because that's part of the landscape. But I think that we're well on our way to capturing the karst Finglin towers. So super fun. But we do need to keep moving on and actually to our site number. Oh, and there's the if you do want to throw in a a little geology cutaway, that would be fun too. So I'll have these up on the website if you want to come back and do more detail. But for now, we're heading up to Mongolia for one of my favorite rocks anywhere, and those are these gorgeous agates. These are incredible agates. They're highly prized. They were traded on the Silk Road for thousands of years. Um, they're not huge. These are natural agates. They're from Mongolia. These are silicon dioxide. They're found on plains in the Gobi Desert. They're made by nature, polished by nature. There's a lot of natural agates taken out of the deserts here that are then dyed to try to approximate these amethyst and green and cobalt colors, but nothing beats these natural ones. It's a botryoidal chalcedony. So the globular formation, that's a botryoid. 450 to 500 million years ago, these silica-rich solutions crystallize in the cavities of various host rocks, and then they're eroded away. So the light bits or the amethysty bits are highly silica rich. And so it is silicon dioxide is the main mineral here. Very hard, 6.5 to 7 on the Mohs scale. And super fun. So pick one to draw. I'm going to, which one? I don't even know. Let's do, I'm going to do the amethysty colored one. Let me see if I can get this to my, I'm fighting with my computer here so I can actually see it. Shall I make this bigger for us all? How's that? Then we can come back to the details. I think I'll do this one, the amethysty purpley one. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to do the cobalty one because I like the belt across the middle that shows more of that silicon chalcedony. So I'm going to do almost a blind contour, starting with the formation at the top, which is kind of a little bit of a heart shape of chalcedony. Trying not to lose myself in the details too much. Easy to do. almost like a little amphora. Let's get the belt in there. A little more elongated. So little belt formation kind of repeats itself. Trying to capture, not copy. I have to remind myself, right? Get the essence of it. Don't get too hung up. All right, let's get the botryoidal bits on the bottom. Circle, circle. There, see, I'm giving myself permission to be a little looser, which I think is going to help. There's going to be blue around there. There. Fun. Give this a label. Come on. Okay, so this is number 4. It's agate, which is silicon dioxide. And these are Mongolian natural. From Mongolia, natural undyed. And 450 to 500 million years ago. And what have we got? Silica rich solutions crystallized. In the host rock, and then were weathered. So now I can come in, got my, I think I'm going to clean off my palette. Okay. These beautiful rich blue. I think what I'll do is see that cyan is too, not the right tone. So I'm adding some indanthrone to darken that up. And I don't want pure indanthrone. If you have cobalt, that would be good. Gonna have to darken it up. Let's get, gonna get the blue in place here. Yeah, this is kind of using the tip of your brush, trying to leave some variation. It's not perfect. Whoops. Almost a soda-like color, isn't it? Oh, I messed that up. Fix that. All right. We have some blue here. Trying to get my blue laid in. And where's that go? We've got kind of a blue in here. I lost the definition of this one. Trying to fix it. Ah, what else? All right, I think I'll stop there and then grab some neutral tint. Now, can we use the neutral tint to make the suggestion of the chalcedony stripe here? See how I'm just doing that really lightly. And then using that neutral tint again to oh, I forgot to finish the blue there. Um, to create shadow in the chalcedony. Got to finish that blue. I think all of these are pretty challenging. So whichever one you picked, just keep at it. But try not to get too lost in the weeds, I call it. And there's some kind of dirty brown. Let me see if I can get a brown going here. Yellowy brown, like that, kind of. So that looks green in there. Just a tiny bit. Trying to make it look more rock-like, if that makes sense. I think it will help to come back either with a pen or very sharp pencil and help define the chalcedony. Give it those stripy bits. And do we want to add a shadow at all? Would that help? So it doesn't look like it's just floating helplessly. That helped a little bit. All right. And I think the refinement on this will be um, coming in with a very, just very, very careful, like so, to get the chalcedony to pop a little, especially in here, but without, oof, you have to be real careful not to overdo the detail. Try to define that edge better. I think that helped. See that? And then we can do the same. Carefully just defining those whorls. Yeah. And what do I have to tell myself is to back away. I'm in danger of doing too much detail. um, I'm actually pleased with that. I think I'll leave it because I'm quite famous for overworking it, right? Okay. Let's take your own advice. And time to move it. Hey, that was good. 15 minutes we did. I hope you were able to get through partway to one at least. Oh, and don't forget scale, right? Look at how small those are. That's a dime, a US dime. So it's about, that guy would estimate is about 20 millimeters. A dime is 0.7 inches, let's see, 0.7 inches. Um, and so that looks like it's just a tiny bit over that. And I figured that was about 20 millimeters tall. Not very big. Or draw a dime, but I didn't have time to draw a dime. Okay. Where are we going next? Let's see. So we were down in Vietnam. So not going too far. We're going to Thailand. Ooh, this is so cool. And now we're all like, why did she pick this? Is going to be so hard to draw. And it is. Um, it's kind of one of the reasons I do pick things. It's like, oh my gosh, would I like draw this? I don't know. How are we going to do this? We'll get through it. Um, it's going to be fun. So we are in Tam Sai Pha, Thailand. I probably butchered that. Limestone and calcite. This is called the Blue Cave. Oh my gosh. Um, my husband Jonathan and I joke, Norwegian place names, we whenever someone calls it like Blue Cave or uh uh the Picacho Peak, which is Peak Peak. Norwegians are just famous for just calling things what they are. So we say this was a Norwegian place name. They must have been down in Thailand. Um, about 100 meters deep. This is a very famous cave. The combination of organic carbon, marine fossils, and then light reflecting off of calcium carbonate makes this blue limestone. Blue limestone is a thing. It's very sought after as a building material for like kitchen counters and stuff. Um, the speleothems are natural stalactites and stalagmites that do occur in this cave. They're not shown in this picture. And it's just a stable form of called polymorph limestone. That's what calcite is. So how would we do this in our journal? What I would do, which I am going to do, new page, is now, as you saw, often when I do landscapes, I do bounding boxes, and that does help me a lot. If you have a lot of room on your page, do a horizontal box. I'm going to do a square box and just pull part of that image. Um, again, it's what is your real estate? What have you got available? But this helps you get control of things. Bounding boxes do, because you draw to the box now. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually draw the slightly off center to the left. I'm going to draw the figure. That's what they're standing on. And I'm going to go ahead and make a little, there's his knee. Not going to make him very huge. Give him a hat. That didn't come out very well. And I'm making it worse. He's wearing a caver's hat now. Okay. And make the arch over him, because that is going to form the bottom of my box. This helps me, stop and stay in control. And this burnt sienna color here, we're going to let come down. And that, again, is going to help me stay in control. Then I think the thing that we'll do here, I'm going to draw the edge of the cave part that he's standing in, just so I can start wrapping my that really cool formation. But again, we want to be careful not to get too into the weeds here. Find a spot here. There's the foreground, and I'm going to lightly pencil this in. How that comes up, it sort of starts easing off here. And we'll start with a few of the swirls. Don't try to draw every one, but it's important. What we'll do is start them out. As you do pairs or multiples of them, we're squeezing them together because they're, see how that's going to come up and do that? We're going to come down. And then it starts to go that way. But don't line up. Oopsie, that's the thing you don't want to do. Do not line up one of these. You want to pull it from slightly above it. So if they line up, then you're not going to get the impression of that fold. Let's see. And these come in, there's going to be a little jaggedy bit here. And then we're going to want to do these lines bulging up, but don't connect them to the other lines on the other side. Be careful of that. So we get that swirl. They are part of it, but there's a bend in there that we want to try to get. Now, coming from here, let's do above. We've got just a little loop right there. It doesn't connect. Give it a little loop there. Got a little bit more coming up here. Oops, that one was a bit off. This is why pencil's good. It's going to be easy to just sort of get lost in the details here, and we don't want to do that. Right, and now here, just going to bring a few up, and there's a lip, and the lip, and the lip. And then these curve and kind of blow up that way. It's really cool. Got to keep that lip going. Okay, I'm going to keep that pretty open, not try to draw every single one. See how that's now helping to show the lip. Now, these start to get pretty straight across. The fun thing we can do with this type of foreground is bring this dirt, make it blow out of your box. How fun is that, right? So the first thing we're going to want to do is a light blue wash. And let me see if I can pull off some of this graphite on the figure so it doesn't bleed too much. There, that's better, because we'll color that in dark later. And I'll do the bounding box last, but let's get some light blue. Like so. Hoping the graphite doesn't muck it up too much. I want to keep this really as light as I can. But this is an undercolor. And while that's drying, we will get our Simport Sienna going here. All right. That's to darken that up. I want to blow that out a little bit. I did that intentionally so I can come in. It pushes the pigment away, and I can come in and darken that up in just a few minutes so we can give that some topography. So to get the dark, now we're going to need, I'm going to use the Indanthrone, nice dark blue. Use if you have indigo, or just mix a darker blue. And it's going to be so easy to kind of get lost in the details here. But what we want to do is, as much as possible, just repeat our stripes. Remember, don't meet up the stripes. I just about blew that one. Nice thing is we can go ahead and scribe the edge here. Yeah, that's working a little better. A little bit of dry brush is good. There, see, that's working very nicely. Tuck that in. So the paint is practically dry. Look at that, there's a kind of a whorl there. Tiny bit of water. Doing this in phases so I'm not in danger of overworking it, right? This is a challenging one. How do we do this? So, oops, see, that was too wet. So get your tissue and try to dab that out. Kind of lost my edges here. There. See how I pulled that back in? Trying to get the arch behind him. I don't want it super defined. It's pretty defined in the photo, but I think if we did that here, it would look too harsh. So trying to just do that really softly with blue and neutral tint. There, that's better. And now just coming in. What am I missing? This is defined here. The dry brush will be your friend here. So I think just over time, this is a challenging one. It's like, why did you pick this? Well, we have to practice the hard ones too. Um, I could, keep at this for a long time, but I'm going to move on and we can refine this later. But as you can see, not overworking it is the key here. And so I will come back later. I can make him more uh, darker at the very last with a pen. It'll be scary. And that'll really help pop it. But this way I just wanted to put in more topography here so it's not flat. And don't forget, like, this should darken up as we go back. All right. We'll have to come back and very judiciously work on some of those stripes and add our bounding box. Oh, and I forgot the labels. Let's not forget that. So this is the 5 Bum Si Fa. And that literally means blue cave. And we are in Thailand. And it is limestone and calcite. And blue is from Trace Organic. Is that right? Carbon? Is that what we're reading? Yeah. The trick will be when you're coloring. It's going to be tempting to make those solid lines, and I don't think you should. You're going to have to fool the eye with broken lines, dry lines. Okay. That was a challenging one. Ah, we have one more challenging one at the end, so. All right, let's keep going. Ooh, let's not forget to pull some uh, of the earth color into the sides as well to help blend it back. Now, we were in Thailand. Oh, we're hopping over to off the coast of India now to Ceylon. I believe, Sri Lanka. Now to this fabulous chrysoberyl cat's eye, illuminate of beryllium. And cat's eye are also known as cimophanes. And that really cool, the cat's eye, the center vertical pupil thing that you're seeing is called chatoyancy. Um, well, you can have chatoyancy without the vertical thing, but the microscopic parallel needle inclusions are what create that. And it's exceptionally sought after from Sri Lanka. Very transparent and beautiful. So let's try to do this. How would we do this? Best way to tackle this is choose a color that you can do lifting. So we want to get a solid color and then try to lift out this center, because it's going to be almost impossible, to paint up to the edge and get that softness like that. So if you have some ready-made colors that lift, meaning you paint it on the page and then you can pull it off with a tissue or a brush, that's going to be the best way to do this. So what I'm going to pick the dark one here, which is going to be a little easier to lift. And what I'll do, see at the shape. It doesn't, the shape is, just do a best you can. I'm doing free form like so. And this is, while we're at it, illuminate of beryllium. And beryllium illuminate, which has oxygenated. I'll come back and do that. Let's get a wash down. So what works really well is I like to put down, I'm going to do 2 layers. First, I'm going to do a light cyan blue. Very light. Let it dry. Very faint. And it won't take long to dry. And while that's drying, I'm going to mix a very, very dark blue, almost black, with indanthrone and burnt sienna. A color that is going to be able to be lifted. It's going to be heavier on the blue, but I want it to look almost black, because that's going to help with the illusion of the chatoyancy, like so. And then we're just going to cover the whole thing. Yeah, it's already dry. And it's okay if you've got some streaks, because that'll be kind of natural. In fact, make them go all the same. That's okay to have that dark on the side and let that dry. So while that's drying, actually, you know what? I'm going to try something here. I haven't done this before. I'm going to put my finger in a tissue, and I'm going to try pushing my my channel right now, like so. I did not get the, you know what? I didn't get the channel quite right. So guess what? I can still do it over. That's the great thing about the Andanthrone and burnt sienna is it's fairly movable. And I'm gonna do that again and hope I get that channel right. Needs to be farther over. Okay. Needs to, maybe I should turn this. Yeah. Like that. And I'm gonna let that dry because I can play with that edge a bit. But let me let that dry and then I can do some lifting. And when I'm lifting, I'm going to use a very skinny, very stiff dry brush because you can go in and lift the color out carefully bit by bit. But I need to let that dry so it I don't mess with it too much. Um, it's a little bit of green in there, isn't there? Could have mixed a slight green, but I was afraid that would get really weird. Chatoyancy equals microscopic parallel needle inclusions. Huh? And this is from Sri Lanka. It's highly prized. How fun. Okay. How's this doing? Boy, my lucky. Ha, those of you in wet climates are not going to have as easy of time. So I'm seeing how this is lifting here. Scribing a channel, and then you wipe, lift, wipe, lift, wipe, lift. This is a little broad. I'm getting some of the, trying to approximate using some of the paint, the needle-like look. Which on some of them you can really see. I'm just removing some of that edge, but not all of it. And then I think what I can do to enhance the brightness is use my white charcoal or a gel pen and run that right down the center. Why isn't that working? There we go. So I'm kind of scrubbing that in. These are hard. Let's see. I'm going to grab the charcoal. Still a little bit too damp for the charcoal. It's not, actually, that's good. You don't want it too bright and you don't want to smear it. Now we can go in. Using a neutral tint in the blue. There we go. That's really going to do nicely. I hope that look, see how darkening that edge really helps pop make it look more luminous. And after this dries, I can soften that line a little bit. There, I think I'll leave that. So, very fun. So we have two more places to go. And I'm running behind. So we're going to do a quick visit to China, to another karst formation. These are super cool. This is the Yunnan province. The stone, oh, I can't read that. Can someone tell me what that says? The Stone Forest Geologic Park. What is the word in front of stone? My Zoom control is covering it. Anyone want to read?
Limestone.
Thank you. In front of Stone Forest.
No,
I think it's
Shillin.
yeah.
Shilin.
That's right, Shelling. Thank you. Yeah, this I have no control over this thing on Zoom. It's kind of crazy. My cursor disappears, so I can't grab it. So Shalin or two L's?
Shilin.
Yeah, so the Shaling Stone Forest Geologic Park. Nice. This is cool. It's a huge park, 500 square kilometers. The strata are west dipping monoclines, very gentle um, slope. That then there was a shear in the geology, the fractures, and then uplifted and eroded. So we end up with these the water formed these wonderful towers um, in the limestone, so calcium carbonate. And the red streaks are iron inclusions. So this will be a fun one. We'll do a quick sketch so we can make sure we get finished by 11-ish. No, that's not going to happen. We'll be a little bit over. Here we go. What I will do, here we go. I'm going to do a bounding box again because that'll help me do a quick sketch. So we're going to have fun. How do we do this really quick? Because I don't have a lot of time. So as I often do, the bounding box will then incorporate the geology. So I'm going to do a blind contour, come down here. Here's a little nubby. This is its own formation here, comes down. I'm going to end it here. There's a lawn. They apparently mow or something there. Coming back up, pulling the back formation is kind of a like so. I've just hit the tree, so I'm going to go ahead blind contour here, kind of. I've got this big tree coming in, and this tree then hoping this tower is as tall as the other tower. And then maybe what I'm going to do is I'll bring this one down here. There's another tree there. I'm going fast here. Okay. Now I got to bring in some, I'm going back over to this formation here. Comes down, there's a, it goes in like so. There's, this guy's got a shoulder that comes in, and then this really cool undercut. And then more geology coming in here. So trying to do that messy. We've got kind of geology coming down. These guys are very streaky. And then let's do this really cool eroded cap on top. It literally kind of sits on top. Super fun. It's got striations coming back over here. This guy, let's do messy. There's a undercut. So here, graphite is our friend. We'll have lots of space for that irony bets. There's a couple of kind of a chimney there. Right. I'm not going to do a ton of work on that. Okay, this guy, let's give it a quick treatment here. Ooh. Oop, this has a really cool base. So it comes down. I exaggerated that just a little. If I was like sitting in the park here looking at this is exactly how I would be doing it, trying not to overthink things too much. Tree. And then I think I'm going to call it good and very just lightly scribe in the background because I'm not going to do those. I don't have time. Say we're on a tour and everybody's moving on, so you didn't have time to um, get everything, all the details. That's okay. So it's okay to just do part and then leave some. So we'll call this is I can see it now, Shilin Stone Forest. And we will go ahead and just put details under here. This is in Yunnan, China. And it's 270 million years ago was formed. Oh, it's limestone, calcium carbonate, and conjugate shear joints. Isn't that great? Um, well developed. Wonderful. So for color, you could easily just kind of hit this really quick with neutral tint and super uh, watered down just to start it out. That's got too much of the blue in it. And then you come back later, we can hit it with the iron. See how I'm, making it dirty? And then this is probably, not probably, definitely too blue. There's two types of grays. There's a warm grays and cool grays. This is a cool gray. That in that photo, those are very warm grays. So to do a warm gray, I would do my own burnt sienna and Danthrone. You see how that's much warmer? Yeah, I like that better. And I don't want to, fill it all the way in, especially since I need to leave some spots in here. Need to put our burnt sienna in there. So that's how I'll do that. You'll do your trees last. See the dry brush there. Got that a little too wet. But you can see how we'll want to pull in our burnt sienna. I'll have to work that in and add more bright orange. But what I'm going to do now, just in the interest of time, is move on. You can see where that's going more or less. Got our trees, and we'll finish that up. Looks really manky right now, but with a little work, we'll finish that up. Give this a an edge that you can see there, and so forth. So I'll have that posted on the website. This is looking pretty good. All right, and so our final one, of course, it's the coolest and the most difficult one we're going to do. And we're going back to Myanmar. I couldn't help it because I stumbled on this last, and this is so cool geologically. This is the world's rarest gemstone. In fact, there is only one. This is the holotype. There is only one specimen ever found, and it has what they call an unprecedented atomic structure. I couldn't even begin to distill it down for this. It's crazy how it is structured. It was crystallized in a heavy metal rich magmas over 1,000 degrees centigrade. So it's rich in bismuth, antimony, oxygen. It has trace elements of titanium, niobium, tungsten, uranium, tantalum. It's incredibly rare. So it is officially the rarest gemstone. And wow, how are we going to capture that color? I can, the color, I'm pretty sure I can get bits of it, but how to do it with all those planes. And that's not what's going to be hard about this one is it's not a perfect cut. They obviously had to cut it based on the fractures and such in it. So and it's called Kyle Thwaite. Kiathwaite. Let's practice that one. I don't know. Um, so I think we're going to have to be okay with doing a very approximate oops capture here because yeah, if we had all day long to carefully scribe every plane facet, I should say more properly, we could do that, but we don't. So the first thing I do, would work to get that pretty bright orange. First, I clean my palette because I've got dirty gray all over it. Is lay down a beautiful clear yellow. As pure as you can get. This is Aureolian yellow. Hansa yellows are great for this. You don't want a too orangey yellow yet. We're going to turn it orange, but we want that brightness to peek through. So actually that needs to dry. And I'll try scribing ahead of time, maybe some of the facets just to try to capture that. But boy, it's going to be hard, I tell you. So be kind to yourself. That's okay. Hey, maybe while we wait for that to dry, I'll do some trees in the forest up there. Oh, you know what? I shouldn't until I get the darks done. Meh. I can do my grass. Gonna try to get ahead of the it's always so tempting to work ahead, but it's always better to do your darks last. Well, sorry, I shouldn't put it that way. Do things like your trees last, because now I'll probably mess those up working that. But I'm trying to wait for that to dry. I should just go walk outside with it. In the meantime, let's get the data down. Kaya White. I don't even know what the etymology of that is. It's from Myanmar, from a place called Magok. And it is bismuth. Oh, what's the SB? Oh, antimony and oxygen. Cool. It's the rarest gemstone on earth. So titanium, niobium, titanium, niobium. tungsten, uranium. Wow. Okay. I, I'm gonna go for it. So very, very lightly, we can try to just approximate these facets just so we have a guideline, but they're not even because they had to they had to cut to the stone. So I would just do some approximations. The table goes way across here, but then you've also got some other stuff going on. Boy, it's easy to just get kind of lost in this. Um, Also try not to leave too much graphite because it's so messy. Mostly what I just want to do is try to get some. This is kind of my paint by numbers. Wait, I'm gonna call that good for the moment. And so here's what we do. I want to work within these rough shapes here. Got that a little bit too wet. I want to get some magenta, and that's going to give us this fiery color. Wow, look at that. And I do want that yellow to show through as much as I can, but also trying to preserve those really strong angles. And now I'm just trying to puddle the quinacridone. Maybe leaving that bit there, and then I'll move to another one, and let's work on another one. Got to move your notebook to keep these planes raw. Hard to keep these edges neat, going as quickly as I am. I like the way when you can get that puddle, how pretty that looks. And our friend is going to be neutral tint to try to get some of those facets to look cool. For example, let's see, you've got, let me see if I can play with that. Say we've got this guy in here. is all dark. But then right next door, slightly different one. Or did that just muddy it up? All right. Well, you can see kind of how we'll work on this. This is a hard one. So be kind and to yourself and just do 3 or 4 versions if you have to practice. That's what I would am going to do. And get a few of your facets in here. Slightly different colors. Do this one lighter. Come back, do a darker one. I kind of lost my facet in there. Very dark in there. There. Ha. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to leave that now though, because it's 11:15. And so we went way over. Um, thank you for joining me. This was so much fun. Hard though. Like, why did I pick this? Because we need to practice these. They're hard.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. So thank you again for joining me here. If you do enjoy these, occasionally I do appreciate a little tip jar contribution. I'll pop that into the chat. Let me stop the share to see you guys. It's like, wow, this was a hard one. Let me remove the spotlight. I know, but if we don't push ourselves, right, we'll never get better. We'll never put like go beyond just our little simple sketches. So that was fun. I'm going to work on that gemstone. They're hard though. Remember, gemstones are, I mean, people make their livings painting gemstones for magazines and things, and it's a real beautiful art, just like botanical illustration or scientific illustration. So anyone want to share what they've got? No. I know Heidi's like, no. Is that a beautiful sunset, Heidi? Is it Tucson?
Actually, that's in Phoenix during a
Okay,
monsoon. Yeah,
nice. Yeah, it's almost as nice as Tucson. Haha, just kidding.
I know.
We're maybe getting rain today, so it's getting cloudy. Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Anyone else? No share. Okay, well, share them with me later. Once you've had time to work on them. These were hard ones. You know, after I was reviewing them this morning, I came back was reviewing them and I was like, oh no, they're gonna hate me for this one. So but I don't know. I think it's good. It's all over the map. I mean, practicing your transparency and gemstones, the lifting, doing the blue cave, um, trying to get yourself to do just broken lines instead of stripes because your eye is going to want to do stripes, but it's not really stripes. And that makes us study that landscape more and then understand geology wise, how it looks and how it was formed. So keep working on them and send me your examples if you want, or share them on we have the community forum, or I'll put them on the website. I should have the recording probably by this afternoon, or later this evening. So, and I'll put all the materials up so you can practice from the pictures.
So are we going to do another 80?
Yep, there'll be
Something else?
Yep. Subject wise, insects would be fun. Birds is probably something we should do. We did mammals, monotremes, and what was the third thing? Don't remember. I think birds would be the next fun thing. And yeah,
Yeah, sounds good.
they're challenging.
And I
But we've
need
got
my
2 more.
practice.
We've got 2 more rocks to go. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your 4th weekend.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Roseanne.
Thank you, Roseanne.
Okay, take care.
Thank
Oh,
you.
plants and their pollinators.
That's
Take care.